precious holy Lamb. You are the great I am. Everybody say you are God, the living King. You are Christ, the risen Lord.
Well, praise the Lord, hallelujah, and thank you, Jesus. It's around that time right here on KAZ Radio where we got Chop, Chop, Chop It Up with Pastor T.C. Thomas. Take it away, Brother Pastor.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Chop, Chop, Chop It Up, where we're going to be chopping up conversation, chopping it up, taking pieces and checking things out. Now, today is a special day. Gentlemen, make sure you tell your sweetheart, happy sweetest day. Happy sweetest day to my sugar, my wife, Phyllis. Happy sweetest day. I love you, baby. I ain't going to get in no trouble today. No. Oh, all right, I want to introduce you guys to some good people. My co-host to the left, Michael Stitz.
What's up? Let's chop it up. I'm ready to go. Let's get it going.
Chop it up. All right, I'll introduce you to my other co-host. You ain't gonna say hi, happy sweetest day to nobody. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't trying to get you beat.
Happy sweetest day to the made-up holiday.
Hey, somebody getting paid. All right, I want to introduce you guys to my other brother in the house, my brother, Minister Philip Robinson. Take it away, Phil.
Chop it up. And I got to say for my man Mike, you're a mean one. You're as cuddly as a cactus.
He don't want to buy that.
I know about the green.
They made it up.
Don't get me in trouble.
They made it up. Didn't they make up everything?
But happy Sweeties Day to my lovely wife, Minister Stephanie Robinson. She's a sweetheart. And it's Sweeties Day every day. And
Yeah.
There it is.
It's Sweeties Day
There
every
it
day.
is.
So
Yeah.
Sweetie. It's a sweet day, but I like to say also Happy Sweeties Day to my New York Yankees.
Oh, is that right?
We need
What?
a sweet win tonight. That's what we need.
You need.
So sweet, I want a cavity after the night. Yeah.
He's like, it's me, oh Lord, man. No, it's the Yankees. That ain't a need of prayer.
And I'm like Mike, I'm ready to get into the show today. This is
Okay.
I'm ready to dive right in.
Well, I want to introduce our special guest, my brother, my friend, my pal, Don Robinson up in the house again.
How's everybody out there? I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, let's get the
Oh, now
chopping.
you didn't ask
Let's
him
get
about
the
sweetest
chopping.
day.
I don't want to get in any trouble. So if I put it out there,
See, Mike want to pull you in his boat.
Come on, jump in my boat, bro.
He don't want to be in that boat by himself. I'm in trouble.
He's out there, and happy sweetest day.
Amen. Well, you know what, people, it's good to have the brothers together. It's good to have the brothers together, and we just going to chop it up. We going to have part 2 of what we had started last week, and it was basically about the police shooting of ex-officer, what's her name again?
Amber Geiger.
Amber Geiger. Yes, and we was just talking about what happened and things of that nature and the situation. But once again, we give condolences to the Jean family. Bottom, I do believe I pronounced it right. We give our condolences to that family, and we are still praying for that family. And I have learned how to pray for everyone as well. So saying that, let's get the show on the road. Let us get started. Now, we was about to get into the justice part of the case. Right. Now, y'all can just jump in when you want to. But anybody want to call in and give your opinion, your view, you can call 216-298-1554 and give your opinion, your view, whatever. We listen, we respect everybody.
Yeah, and Pastor Tim also, I know we're about to get into the justice part, and that's going to be the meat of the show, but something happened since we was on the show last week.
Yeah, that is true. You want to tell what happened?
So something happened in between last week's show and this week's show, and I'd like to say that it's sparking outrage, not throughout the communities, the black community, but the communities in Texas and other states as well. Another police shooting, and this one is sparking a lot of outrage with the panel as well. I know we were about to get into it before we went live on air, but we're talking about, and I just want to put it as plain as possible, not only was this a police shooting, but it was an atrocity. It was the worst of the worst. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Pastor, and I'm going to let you kind of open up the floor to it and kind of explain a little bit about what happened with this latest police shooting that happened in the great state of Texas.
Okay, Mike, do you got it on your phone?
Yeah. So
explain it a little bit.
Sure.
So the people somebody may not know.
yeah, so in Fort Worth, Texas, you know, I can't even count the number of times Fort Worth has been in the news for just egregious stuff. I think it was Fort Worth, or it was somewhere close to Fort Worth, where the cop led a suspect by horse. He was tied up, walking behind the horses. The cops were on the horse, taking him to jail. I mean, that's some slave stuff.
Yeah, that's some
But
1800 crap.
this one cop, his name is Aaron Dean. He is the officer who killed Tatiana Jefferson. She was in her living room playing video games with her son. I believe it was her son. Nephew. And a neighbor called the police saying, you know, her door is open. It's a non-emergency call. It went over the airways to this officer as non-emergency. Because the door was open, it was late, and the neighbor thought that was odd, and he was just doing his good citizen duty. The cop, who decided not to knock on the front door, went around back, which was very difficult to my understanding to get to the backyard, and shot and killed Tatiana Jefferson. I don't know if she had a gun. But she's in her own home, so she has the right to have a gun.
Yes.
And if someone is roaming in my backyard, then the first thing I'm going to do, especially if I have a small child with me, is to get some type of protection just in case he decides to come in.
Well, to
so
my
I don't
knowledge,
understand.
the gun was just something they always, well, I ain't going to say that. I'm going to say the media brings up the tank your thinking about the person. They didn't say she had it in her hand. Believe me, she had it in her hand, that would have came out. Or she pointed it, would have came out. It was a gun in the house. But that got to do with things. It was a possum
that
pants
ain't
in the
got
house.
nothing to do
You
with
don't say
it.
nothing about
Let me
possum
just-
pants.
Let me just add,
Go on,
let
Phil.
me just add a little bit of flavor to this story. So the whole incident was caught on the officer's body camera.
Yes.
So on our body cameras, because I was an officer, retired, and so is my brother here. We wore body cameras, and whenever you have some type of, you're on a call or you're on a civilian interaction, or you're, you know, on a legitimate call, you activate your body camera. Once you activate, you have to physically activate your body camera.
That's part of the procedure, right?
Yes, that's part of the procedure. So you activated his body camera, and then you can actually see him lurking in the backyard. So when I say lurking, I say, well, you can take it in a good way, you can take it in a bad way, but he was actually lurking. But in some of our police training, if you believe that there's something going on, whether there's a burglary in progress or something like that, that's what you're trained to do, to be a little stealth. So I'm not going to really use that against him. But if you believe that it was a prowler, or if you believe that, you know, it was maybe a burglar in the house, or maybe there was some other situation going on, you know, you want to have the stealth aspect of doing police work on your side.
Now, you say stealth.
Yes.
Now explain that. Somebody may not know what that is.
So when I mean stealth is, say myself and my brother pull up to a call, and the call comes in as a burglary call. We're not going to pull up with the police car right inside the driveway.
Right.
That's
And tell the people why not.
Why? Because first off, you would like to have the element of surprise on your side because you're trying to gain intelligence.
Right.
You're trying to gain intel because if you come pulling up with your lights on and your sirens on and you come pulling up at the house, you don't have the advantage. And when you're doing police work, we're at such of a disadvantage so frequently
Yes.
that whenever you have an opportunity to have an advantage on something, you utilize that. That's a tool that's in our tool bag. So as he's walking through and going through different parts of the backyard, he's looking through windows and he's doing this and he's doing that. So what the video, and I believe I'm qualified to speak on this, because what the video showed was him looking in a window and seeing a gun on a nightstand, and then the female later that he shouts out to and says, "Show me your hands." There's a problem there because first off, you never gave her an opportunity to comply by her showing her hands, because as soon as he yelled out, within a second, he started shooting. So let me just fast forward that just a little bit. Let me rewind that back a little bit. The reports suggested that she heard what she believed to be a prowler in her backyard, which we later on find out that this was the police officer that was walking through the backyard trying to get some intel. So she is going to protect herself, and she's going to protect her nephew because she hears this prowler and she hears these movements going on in the backyard of her house. So what the reports suggested, that she took out her gun and put it on a nightstand for protection, and you have every right to do so.
Yes.
Right.
So with that being said, she put the gun on the nightstand. The reports indicate she put the gun on the nightstand because she believed that she heard some rumblings and some stuff going on in the backyard. And never did she ever brandish the gun, never did she pick up the gun, never did she point it. She never did any of these things. So why are we sitting on this panel today talking about this young lady that was murdered in cold blood?
I'll tell you why. Because it's a norm in America. But before we even get into that, John, I want to ask you, did you see that video of the young guy, the officer who shot and killed Miss Jefferson? Did you see any of that video?
Yes, I did.
Did you see any procedure that you would have done differently, how he approached the area, whatnot?
Well, it's kind of hard to say what you would have done in that situation because you go there and we might perceive things differently. You might, Phil might, Mike might, we all might be at the same place and see 4 different things. So, in my experience, and of course, the more calls you go on, the more experience you get in how to handle these different things. I don't know exactly how much time this officer had on the department, maybe a few years.
I think a couple of years.
You know, or something along those lines. And so it to me, maybe the officer's inexperience in handling these things. You don't know what's on their mind, if they're, have these preconceived notions about getting ambushed or something. It could be a whole lot of different things that played into why he did what he did. We know what the end result is, but to shoot in such a quick period of time, I have issues with that. I mean, if you're going back there, whether it's a check on the well-being of someone, basically a welfare check, if you're doing something like that and it's not a burglary call, I understand that you want to be prepared for whatever may come, and it could be a lot of different things.
Yes.
So you want to prepare, but you don't want to get to the point to where you're so skittish that if a firecracker goes off, or a car backfires, or a horn honks, or somebody says boo, that you're squeezing off a round
Yes.
with your firearm.
Yes.
That's the thing that kind of gets me. That I don't like what I see, and it seems to be there are instances that have happened, over the years where shootings have occurred because they were startled, like going in and checking a house or for squatters or burglars or what have you, or doing any number of things that might require you to have a firearm out. So it depends, but I have an issue with how quick it occurred.
Yeah, that was very quick. And my thing is looking over the history of police dealing with black people, especially black men. It seemed like the shootings take effect very quickly in the case. And a lot of times you hear the word, I was afraid, I'm scared. So, and I'm like this, the police job is very serious, and I respect it highly. And you can be nervous, but if you scared, you shouldn't be a
It's not
cop.
the
I feel
job
like
for you.
it's just
And-
not,
and-
I mean,
and
that's why
Pastor-
I think it's fair to say you shouldn't be a cop.
And Pastor Tim, I hate the armchair quarterback, another police officer, because that's one thing that I never want to do.
Right.
But you have to take the facts for what it is. Now, if this incident was not caught on his issued police body camera, then I pretty much wouldn't have much of an opinion. It would be a hypothetical opinion that I would have because you didn't see what happened. You wasn't there. You wasn't a witness. But based on what I saw, what I observed in the video, I just want to go on record by saying that it was a bad shooting. It was poor tactics on his behalf. I think it was a poor decision on his behalf. And also, I believe that once you have an opportunity to do what we call in the police line of work verbal judo. Verbal judo is, you're talking to people, you're giving commands, you're voicing things, you're doing things. Once you have an opportunity to do that, then you see what the outcome is from there. Because if he would have yelled at her like he did, show me your hands, and if he would have gave her an opportunity to comply, maybe she would have realized that he was the police, she could have raised her hands, and there wouldn't have been a shooting. But he never gave her an opportunity to do that.
Right.
And in that, in what I've seen based on the video, I have a problem with that.
Now, Don, when the cop come, you tell me, do you say, show me your hands, or do you announce you're a cop? Or it don't make no difference?
Well, it all depends. During the daytime, there's no reason why you shouldn't recognize me as a police officer because I'm in full uniform. 99.9% of the time, I'm driving a marked vehicle. So you kind of know who I am from the beginning. Nighttime's a little bit different. Well, nighttime's a lot different because
Yes.
now people, like my brother Phil alluded to just a little bit ago, you're using a stealthy approach if you're looking for, let's say you're responding to a burglary call, and that seems to become real prevalent
The norm,
in policing. You go to these things, you might go to several of them throughout the day. So, but you want to have the element of surprise. You want to be able to approach safely,
Yes.
as not to announce yourself, and then begin to approach the whether it's a apartment building, whether it's a business or whatever it may be, but you want to do it as quietly as you could and tactically as you could.
And your
Tactical
training
sound.
and your experience dictates a lot of
Right.
a lot of that. If you're a rookie on the job and this is your first 6 months on the job, you don't just come into the police. Listen, it's just like you, Pastor Tim or Pastor James. Before you was ordained pastor, and before you start preaching in front of the congregation, there's things that you've been through. There's experiences that you've been through that prepare
That leads you up to that.
for that day. Absolutely. And so I'm sorry, but you can't just touch Mike on the top of his head and anoint him pastor right now and expect for him to go in the pulpit and preach and command the crowd and command you
set the atmosphere.
You can't expect for him to do that because there's a great training process that happens, and you hone in on your God-given talents and your experiences, and it allows you to do the job better. No one's going to do the job perfect, but it allows you to do the job better.
So
Let me just add this
jump in.
for a moment. You know, like Phil just said, you know, training. You know, like when I started, I didn't know anything about policing. They put me with what was considered a veteran officer.
Yes.
And they took you around and they showed you various different things to teach you the job. And in company with that and repetition, if you learn good habits from the onset and you build on them, generally they lead to good results. Now, I don't know who trained this officer.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not in a position to, you know, to speak on that. But learning good habits, good tactics, and having sound training from the beginning is paramount. In some cases, in a lot of agencies, you're having a lot of veteran officers leaving the department. There's a high turnover now.
Why is that? Why is that?
Well, you know,
think?
there's, you know, folks are, you know, in some cases they're just ready to retire.
Okay.
You know, and after serving 25, 30, 35 years or what have you. But having these older, more experienced officers leaving, you know, kind of leaves a gap.
Yeah, I got you.
And now you're left with, in some cases, inexperienced officers training new officers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Which I don't
across
really
that-
think that's a good a good idea, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do because you don't have anyone else to train these officers. So you have to put them with someone that you would feel is capable of teaching them.
Right.
So
Mike.
this officer was on the job. He joined the police department right out of the academy in April 2018. So he had about a year and a half, close to a year and a half training, and that's a very valid point that, you know, some of these older trained, well-trained officers aren't there to train these young people. That's a agency problem that needs to be addressed. And how do you address that is you put people in positions to train those new officers as they come out. Whether that means you need to set up a whole department of trained officers, give them some money, and have them go out into the field and train new officers. But that, I go back to, if you're scared of protecting the people you are hired to serve, you probably are in the wrong profession.
But also, but also you gotta look at this. All of the news stations, to my knowledge, well, I know where they're at. They are close to the inner city, and they love to run to the inner city and do the news. I don't know why they're not way out in the suburbs, you know. But so what they show, the media could sort of basically show you things or brainwash you, you know, and you may not know you're being brainwashed, saying black people always killing, they always doing this, because that's all you showing in the black community.
Right.
Now, we all know, and like I said, this is a Christian-based talk show, evil lurks in all races.
Yes.
If you think they only lurks in black, you are crazy.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like this. If you get robbed by a black man, it's bad. If you get robbed by a white man, it's the better.
That's right.
If you get robbed by a Chinese man, it's the better.
That's
if you
right.
get robbed by a Russian, it's the better.
That's right.
No, it's the evilness of
That's
it.
right.
And we got to realize that just because you keep showing black people don't mean we're the only people on this land that's bad or do negative things. And then you got to look at our history. Why are we so bad? Look at slavery. Slavery had a great effect on black people. Don't say it has not, or we should overcome it. See, it's easy to say we should overcome it if you haven't been through it. And so this play a key role in the whole scenario of police killing black people quickly.
Absolutely.
With not real reason.
Absolutely.
And one thing I know was a movie called The Judge, and this judge had let a white drug addict go, and he didn't give him a lot of time. And his son was a lawyer, and he asked him, like, why you didn't give him a lot of time? You know, because later this guy ended up killing a young girl. He's like, I didn't give him a lot of time. And he just pondered. He's like, why you didn't give him a lot of time? He deserved it 5 years. You only gave him 6 months. Why? He said, because when I looked at him, I saw you. And I would want somebody to give you a break. So when white people see black, they don't see brothers and sisters. They see a whole different race. They don't look. Some don't look at us as people. I'm just keeping it real because I like keeping it real. And it's easy when you don't think somebody real to hurt them quickly, and when you don't think they're your brothers and sisters to hurt them quickly. It's easy to do that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's here's the thing, though, and that's a real good point.
Very good.
And I think that you know you could say that about white people or black people or Chinese
Right.
people, anybody.
Yes.
You know we identify with looking at ourselves.
Yes.
You know, but here's the problem that I have with those stats about, you know, crime is so high in the black community. Crime happens where you live. So the statistics point out that if you live around black folks and you're black, there's going to be crime in that area. If white folks live around white folks, it's going to be crime in that area. And the percentages aren't that big of a difference.
Right.
So this black on black crime is a myth.
Yes.
Because there's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime, because most people live around people they look like. And that's just the facts.
Right.
So if I live in if I'm black and I live in a black community and I'm gonna do a crime, it's probably gonna be somewhere around where I live.
Yes.
Most people ain't gonna go out of their neighborhood to go commit a crime. It's it's just crazy.
Right, right.
And the media, as you point out, is
They stereotype and
they're
they
drawing
focus.
this false narrative,
Right.
and people are believing in it. You know, and that's that needs to be corrected.
Can I jump in for a second,
Yeah,
Mike?
Yeah.
I just want to give you guys some stats here. How many black people live in the United States? Okay. So I did a little bit of homework last night, and I realized that more than 40 million black people live in the United States, making up around 13% of the nation's population, according to the 2017 Census Bureau.
Okay.
Okay. So, how many people are incarcerated in the United States? So I'm going to segue into that. The American criminal justice system holds almost 2.3 million people in 1,719 state prisons and 109 federal prisons in the United States, and 1,772 juvenile correction facilities as well. We can't forget about the
Right,
the
the
young.
youngs.
The youth.
Okay, so 3,163 local jails, which is the
Right, county.
we work at the
Jails,
county jail,
city
and
jails.
the city jails, and so on
Right,
and so forth,
right.
and 80 Indian country jails, as well as military prisons and immigration and detention. So what we're looking at is the proportion between blacks, where we come in as a minority, what percentage we come in as the minority, and the proportion of crimes that are being committed, which leads me into my next point. Blacks and Hispanics make up larger shares of prison
Yes.
population than the U.S. population.
Isn't that
And
remarkable?
This is what I find very interesting. Okay. Whites make up 64% of the population. Hispanics make up 16% of the population. Blacks make up 12% of the population. The racial and ethnic makeup of the United States prisons continues to look substantially different from the demographics of the country as a whole. In 2018, blacks represented 12% of the adult population, but 33% of the sentenced prisoners population. We only make up
12%.
12%,
But yet
we're
we-
at 33% of the prison population. So what I'm trying to say is the ratio from people of color to people that are in prison for
Incarcerated is
crimes are greatly disproportionate.
Yes. And that lead me to this, going back now to the Ambler case. And you guys know I'm a Christian, I love everybody, but I just like to keep it real. Now the judge gave her 10 years. Now, would she have gave a black woman 10 years?
Hold your point. Because I just got to read this one more
Yes.
thing to you. I'm going to
Yes.
send it right back to you, Pastor.
Yes.
It says, on these statistics, it says, at the end of 2017, the federal and state prisons in the United States held about 475,900 inmates who were black and 436,500 who were white. That's a difference of 39,400. How is that even humanly possible? Just think about it.
Yeah.
Just try to wrap your mind around it. Pastor, I just had to give you that. I just had to give you those.
Don, what do you think about
those-
that?
No, I
Don,
think
jump in there.
a lot of it has to do with these sentencing guidelines and these judges and these prosecutors that are pushing these this punishment or these penalties. So I believe that you have, like Phil talked about, this disproportionate amount of people of color being incarcerated, but a lot of that has to do with who's incarcerating these individuals. It's
Talk
these
about it.
judges. So if you have a judge sitting on a bench and they look at a person of color versus another person, a white person or any other race other than black, then they may say, well, you know, you're more of a threat to society, so I'm going to give you more time versus giving someone else less time. That's just the way I see it. And, you know, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I mean, I have eyes in my head. I look at what you see on TV and these different trials and so forth, and you can't help but notice it's glaring. So much so, there's like, you know, you say to yourself, how is this possible? Where's the equity? There's no equity. Me and my counterparts can commit the same crime. They get 5 years in prison. I get 20 years in prison.
It's disproportionate.
I mean, where's the equity? You know,
Panel,
there
can,
isn't any.
can I say this? Can I say this, panel? What it all boils down to is one word: justice.
Well,
Where is the justice?
Or should we boil down to another word? Injustice. It's a lot of injustice.
I'll tell you what, Pastor. Let me speak on justice, and I'm gonna pass you injustice. And I was curious about this, and I wanted to read what Webster's dictionary, how it defined the word
Justice,
justice.
okay.
And Webster says justice, just behavior or treatment, a concern of justice, comma, peace, comma, and genuine respect to people. That's what they say about justice. So it also goes into who has the opportunity to be part of this justice position. It says a judge or magistrate in a particular, it says a judge or a magistrate in particular, a judge of Supreme Court, a county, or state. So we have to identify that as people, we hate injustice, but we demand justice, but we have to pass that off to a person that sits in a position to give us justice. So where are we going to receive this justice from? Like my brother just hit on, these judges are sitting in a so-called righteous seat, passing the judgment and the justice for us. Until we get these judges to realize that the many injustices that are happening from the bench, we're never going to get it right, because the police officers can get it right, or the public can get it right, or the jury can get it right, but when it gets passed to the judge, we have to rely on the judge to get it right so that there can be justice in whatever matter we're going through.
So that's a twofold issue
Yes, it
because
is.
because here's the thing. So most judges are are elected in.
Yes.
You know, so if the judges aren't doing what they're supposed to do according to the law, which is the second part of this,
Yes.
there are laws that are written that are unjust.
Yes.
I mean, if we go back into the 80s where they brought out the crack laws, you know, cocaine, if you had a kilo of cocaine, you wouldn't get the same amount of time as if you had some rocks of crack.
And that's
You would get more time.
That is unreal.
And it's unreal
Yeah.
because crack and cocaine
Yeah.
are the same
It's the
thing.
same thing.
Well, no, it's not the same thing because crack is predominantly was used by blacks. Cocaine was used by everybody. And the law was more to handicap the black community a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So, and I like just keep it real because that's how it's been from day one. And the thing is, will there be justice when we elect, and I'm just saying the public elect a guy to be judged, and he's been racist all his life, but we don't know that. But see, it's okay for you to be racist because it's not going to affect me because I'm your color.
Yeah, but what you're
So
saying,
I will elect you.
but what you're saying today is that we do know that, and they're still being elected.
And that's true, too.
And so here's the problem with that: not enough of us vote. I get into a conversation with a young lady who says, "I don't vote because my vote don't count. The Electoral College elects the president." And I said, "You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind."
Well, education is definitely a key factor of voting, and not only that, but we got to go back to our history with Black history. You know, we had a lot of people fight and die for this right, and I myself is like, how dare you not vote?
Right.
You know,
That's
and,
right.
and the ratification of not voting, we get this on behalf of the black people. We end up going to jail more, and then we should, and more time. But the injustice lie heavily on the judges looking at us as not being on their level or being people or whatnot.
And can I
Feel-
just
Let me say this.
make one?
Call us if you guys want to call in. You guys got a comment, a question, or if you want to school us on something. 216-298-1554.
Can I just say this one thing, and then I'm going to leave the voting alone because I think we have a more important topic. But the Electoral College the only way that state gets the number of electoral votes that state is issued is whoever wins that state. So if Ohio, which has lately been a Republican voted state, they're going to get the electoral votes to go to that Republican candidate.
Yes.
If the Republicans outvote the Democrats. And that's the way the Electoral College is. That's how presidents can lose the popular vote and win the electoral vote and become president.
Right.
So we got to get out there and vote. It's just that simple.
But more than that, I think
I'm sorry.
No,
I digress.
no,
We're
no,
going into election season.
I think more than that.
Throw that out there.
I think more than that, now I'm finna go spiritual, is God way is unity. Everybody come together, love, peace, joy. But the devil is separate you better, pride, and that's what's the problem with the United States. We not really one country. We haven't came together as one yet. We have always separated each other. Why is there Democratic Republic? Why are we bumping heads so much? The government supposed to be for the people, by the people, but now the government is not. It's like we for Republican or we for Democrat. Everything we supposed to work together to make things better for the world.
But it's not always been that way. And a Republican president could be elected, and he reaches over the aisle, and the Democrats will work with him.
Yes.
That's the way it had been for years. And now they don't want to work with each other because it's all driven by money, by who's in their pockets, and the laws and the injustices that we see in our prison and in our court systems today is based on that. It's the same thing. Prisons are for-profit institutions.
Yes.
And there you go.
And can I say this? And as we go through this whole topic, what does God say in this situation? What is this? And like Pastor say, what is the spiritual intake about this situation? And the scriptures declare in Psalms 89:14, righteousness and justice are the foundations of your throne. Steadfast love and faithfulness go before you. we're so quick to separate church and state, but as we know, state was built on the principles
yes.
of church.
Yes.
So what God is saying in his word, we're not adhering to it. Because you still have that person that sits in that seat that is supposed to administer the justice for us little people. And I want to say this, Pastor Tim and then panel, I want to make myself clear. That judge failed not only the family of the young gentleman that was killed in his own apartment, she failed the community, she failed the family, she failed us, she failed the justice system. And I'm going to tell you why. Your personal feelings should not come in the way of justice being served. And I say that to say this. 10 years for a life that was unjustly taken and recklessly taken.
Yes.
Because of
Yes,
your bad
recklessly.
decisions
Yes,
as a public
yes,
servant,
yes.
you are held to a higher calling.
But now then, she was not. Now in that particular case, she was not. And like I said, I looked at it spiritual, and it was beautiful spiritually. But on a natural, she did not do her job to the fullest.
That's right.
And if you are a kind-hearted judge, which is fine,
And I understand
are you
that.
kind-hearted to all? Don't be just kind-hearted to white people or certain people. And see, that's the thing. When we do get somebody black in a certain position, now they're under fire because now they feel like I must raise the standard to my white colleagues to be like them so they can accept me, and for them to accept me, I must act like them and do you injustice.
I got an epiphany of what happened during the end of this trial and with this sentence. And this is the epiphany that I got. That judge is an elected official. Somebody on the panel just said that.
Yes.
Okay. That judge relies on the backing of certain communities at large.
Yes.
And certain endorsements from certain police departments and sheriff's offices across that county.
Oh, you
across
preaching
that
now. Oh, you
jurisdiction.
preaching now.
So with that being said, you're in a quandary because this is an election year. I don't know if that judge in particular is up for re-election. That's information I should have researched before I started shooting off my mouth. But I want to say this. When that family, which showed such grace, and such mercy, and such compassion for the woman that killed their brother, their son, their
uncle. Right.
When that happened, and when they showed so much grace with the whole situation and said, on record, on the stand, we don't even want to see her go to prison for what she did. We just want her to have an opportunity to accept Christ in her life as their personal Savior, learn from this, and move forward. That's an impact statement that the family makes, that you have the right to do so. But I think politically driven, that the judge took that opportunity to now be able to appease herself if she had her own agenda, and also the
potential voters,
the endorsements that she's going to receive to become judge again. Because if I only give this woman 10 years, which we know might to be an atrocity and a total travesty, if I only give this man 10 years, if she's looking at 25, and if I gave her 10, and if the sentencing guidelines dictate that, then she's justified in
her
decision.
job. Right.
But I believe that she turned her back, not just on the black community, because this is bigger globally than just the black community. I believe that if she turned her back on giving justice to the family, they'll throw shoes at her. I believe that she turned her back on the police department because she didn't support
The police
the
officer, right?
department and the oopsie that the police department made, they're gonna throw a shoe at her. I just feel like she compromised her integrity by making this decision and giving this female that did what she did and killed this man in the house 10 years. I'm gonna tell you something. Do you guys know that she's eligible after 5 years of prison?
Probation.
Did you know that?
Probation.
She's eligible for parole
Now, my
after
thing-
5 years. So with that,
Can she get it before 5 years?
no, you can't get it.
Okay,
She can't get it before
so-
5 years, but she can be eligible. So
She
if
can be
you
out
guys
5
are
years.
Outraged now over 10 years. What are you guys gonna say when this joker happens to get out of prison in 5 years? Because she'll be eligible for parole in 5 years. So I think, Pastor Tim, that she played the political card because she doesn't want to ruin her career
And her
as
status.
being a judge, and she doesn't want to
Right.
ruin the fact that she's not receiving the support from the police department or the unions and everything else like that. So I believe that she compromised her integrity by giving her 10 years. And that's something she's going to have to live with, because the justice doesn't come from us. We elect people to determine what the justice is going to be in every matter. And just like we have the power to elect, we have the power to deselect you as well.
Well, the thing is, we're the small percentage of the population. So when we decide to unselect you or don't vote for you, remember, our vote it counts very much, but it's a small group, and the bigger group is the other group that she appeals to.
Yes.
Now the thing is, and it was terrible that you at home turn your TV on, cooking breakfast, somebody come to your house, kill you, bang, bang, bang. Oh, I thought it was my house. Oh, you hardly get nothing.
Unreal.
Just because you're a cop. And then I know the crime scene was tainted to try to fix it where it wasn't like this. And they even go to all of that stuff. That's why the mother was saying the training was terrible. She really didn't get into it, but it was a lot of stuff done that was incorrectly. And I'm saying this, there's nothing wrong with grace and mercy, because that's we all get from God. And believe me, but could she have not given her a Bible and 20 years?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Could have still hugged her and loved on her for 20 years.
And I say this, and I say this with great sincerity. Where was the justice in this situation? To this day, I still don't know where it's at, because I don't feel that the justice was served. Period.
Yeah. It's hard to get
Yeah,
justice.
I tend to agree that justice wasn't served. I don't know what the sentencing guidelines were, but 10 years seems awfully light. And then you brought up that she hugged the girl and gave her a Bible, and I saw the judge on some TV show earlier this week.
What?
And she was explaining everything on why she did what she did, with the exception of sentencing. And she felt like that was, this is her words, is she felt that was the Christian thing to do, because
And she could save her
because
from
her
going down.
judging responsibility was over
Right.
at that point. And the girl looked at her and said, "Do you think God would forgive me?" And the judge was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I don't even know God. I don't know what to do.
I don't have a Bible.
I don't even have
I
a
have
Bible."
And she went
gave
again.
her a
And,
Bible.
and all that was great. And,
Right.
and I will tell you this. As a Christian, I have done wrong, and I have deserved, nobody deserved to be in heaven with God, or we all are filthy rags, without a doubt. But sometimes we must pay for the consequences we must pay. I will tell you this. Don't know Jesus Christ, your personal Savior. Keep sinning out there going crazy. God still love you. And he will see you to hell with love.
So
It gotta be, see, the thing is, it gotta be a bar set somewhere
Yeah.
in society and standard.
So how do
Tim.
you explain that the United States incarcerates more people than all of the other countries?
I can explain. I can tell you. I can explain that real simple.
Can-
Racism. Racism. Black people has been hated from day one. Racism. Simple as that.
Can I say this?
Yes. Yes.
I'm burning over here. I'm burning. I just got to get this out. I got to get this out. First of all, what does your apples have to do with your oranges?
Right.
We're talking about two different things here. Yeah. So, the judge has the audacity to give interviews about why she did what she did. Why I hugged her, why I stroked her hair, and why I gently caressed her, and why did I give her a Bible. Okay, that's apples. That's apples. Let's talk about the oranges. And the oranges is, you've yet to give an interview as to why you came forth with this sentencing guideline, not the guideline, but why did you sentence this woman that did this? Why did you sentence her to 10 years? Have we yet heard an interview about how did she come to her conclusion on a 10-year sentence? So, apples is one thing, orange is the other. You can deflect all you want, okay, about why you did what you did, but that has nothing to do with why you gave her a 10-year sentence. Explain that in an interview. I don't need for you to explain to me why you gave somebody a Bible, because I've given out plenty of Bibles. I've given people Bibles in my backseat of my police car. I've given out Bibles on my way going to the Justice Center. I've done that before. I've prayed for people. I've led souls to Christ in the back of my police car and in the jail cells in Cuyahoga County. That's apples. But the oranges is, Judge, why are you not responding, and why are you not elaborating on why you gave her a 10-year sentence? And that's what I would like to hear.
And see, that's what the black community is so upset about, is because that when we get into position to do, not to pay back, but just do your job correctly, we like, I'm not going to do it. Well, who's going to do it? And I'm not, believe me, I'm far from racist. The white man ain't going to do it. Now we get the black man, he ain't going to do it. So who going to do it? So where is the justice? Or he's just going to stay injustice, and then we shouldn't holler about it. We shouldn't cry about it. And believe me, we should always love, because I'm a Christian, but we could also say, hey, it's a standard. You're not following the rules. I got a problem with that.
Pastor Tim,
Hey,
I
can
believe I speak for
I
myself.
say something? Can I please?
Yeah.
Please let me say something. I'm posting a picture of Justice. And you see that Justice is blind. One of the things that we need to have judges do, they need to be blindfolded.
Come on.
They should not be able to see who they are judging.
I like that.
They shouldn't be able to see it. They should simply go by the book. And Justice is blind. Unfortunately, justice in America is not blind. And like you said, Pastor Tim, earlier, they see them and they're sentencing them to lighter sentences.
Yes.
When actually they sentence us to longer sentences because they cannot relate to us. So we need a system where the judge does not see the defendant or the plaintiff, only hear their stories and come to a conclusion then.
Real quick, Pastor, thank you for that so much. I'm looking at that picture that was just on there, and I just got an epiphany. I want to tell you this real quick.
Go ahead, tell it. You got to come in.
If you looked at the blindfold that was on Justice, that's what Pastor just elaborated on. But if you look down at the bottom part, you see the scale.
Right.
There's a scale right there.
Yes.
There's a measure right there.
Yes.
There's a measure on the right-hand side, and there's a measure on the left-hand side. There's a measure in justice in everything that we do. And the measure sometimes gets tilted to the left, and sometimes it gets tilted to the right, because that's the balance of justice. But we have to realize that the measure goes both ways, but as a whole, it should be consistent.
Right.
Consistency is the word that I want to give you. Because the pendulum of justice is going to measure up a little bit and down a little bit, because it has a little sway and it has a little bit of deviation. But that blindfold should dictate that exactly what the pastor said. Justice is blind. And you should go into every situation just like that.
And I'm gonna go back because really a lot of this ties into slavery.
Oh, absolutely.
It ties into slavery. Slavery had done the black people such an injustice, evilness, and it still affects us to the day. And that's what Willie Lynch he wanted this to happen constantly forever. Now, the thing is, if you, like I said, if you pick a racist person, he's going to judge racist. It comes with them. And so society got to realize that we won't never get justice until we get a decent person. And there are decent people out there. There are a lot of good white people. I love them. It's white people that helped Martin Luther King to get to where he was going. It's a lot of good white people. But unfortunately, a lot of bad white people have the power. And once they have the power, what can you do? You know, and I'm not a violent person, so, you know, that's why the Black National came, the Black Panther came. You know, we as a black community, we try to help each other. You know, and with slavery, our mentality is sometimes we fight against each other because that's what we was taught in slavery. Slavery taught us how to hate each other. So we have been through a great deal, and it hasn't been a great long period of time since slavery ended. And this is a struggle, and it's a struggle that we are trying to overcome. Yet still in 2019, we still trying to overcome it. And my thing is, we must keep fighting and keep believing, keep trusting God, because God's word said He reigned on the just and He reigned on the unjust. That's the God we serve. He reigned on everybody, so He's a good God. So my thing is, education is a big part, and trying to elect people who have everybody's best interest. And I love what Pastor said. They should not be able to see who they dealing with, and that might be a little bit more justice, because once you see, then their eyes get tainted. They taint it.
I think, Don, you had a point.
I actually forgot what I was going to say, but what I am going to say now is, it's all about accountability.
Yes.
You know, if you don't like what you see, or you disagree with what your legislators, these elected officials are doing, you vote them out of office.
That's right.
It's plain and simple. And like you said earlier, Mike, you know, you hear these excuses about folks. Oh, my vote doesn't matter. You know, if you continue on with that sort of mindset, and you're going to be a complainer on top of that, then you're never going to accomplish anything. So you have to, number one, first and foremost, go out and vote, and look and try to be that change that you're looking for. And I think that's just the bottom line.
Right. Now, when President Obama was elected, black people came out in large numbers, which was great, and we got to get that going back again. Before. When they had Popeye chicken, they were saying the chicken line was so long they came out. But when they had the cell phones came out, white people was in line and tents sleeping over. There was same thing. So, you know, different things bring out different people. So we all are people. We all fall short. But I'm going to tell you this, we still need God. Everyone need God. And those judges and those people, once they accept God in their heart, that God would change their heart, and then they would be able to be fair. You know, ain't nobody perfect, but they be fair. So if you're watching this show, you don't know God, you got things going on in your life, you ain't judging right, you ain't doing things right, you in sin, and you want to get back in and change, let Jesus Christ, come in your heart. Say, Lord, come into my heart, save me, change me. And He would do that. You know, so in next week, because this was the special show. In 1 week, we'll be back. God bless you guys. I love y'all, and keep coming back and checking out the show. Peace. We love y'all.